Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We are on episode 107, and I'm excited. I got someone real cool in here because they apparently get all access to all parts of the concert world. But today I have Alex, all access. What's going on?
What's up?
Actually, you know what? I didn't know your name was actually Alexia.
So, okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't.
My name, so,
Okay.
pseudo long story. So, I have two middle names.
Okay.
I'm named after my grandmother on one of my middle names. And she's the one who, like, kind of always supported, like, my art career. Like, when I wanted to be in college school, she was like, oh, okay, we're going to buy you the whole kit and caboodle, makeup, everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, photography, jewelry making, anything, like, creative, she always supported. She passed away in 2017. And, when I started my first round of like doing weddings and stuff, I decided, okay, I go by Alex, and my full name's Alexandria. And I was like, well, Alexandria Ranae sounds weird, so let's just do Alexia Ranae. I feel like that flows off the tongue better for marketing. But you can call me Alex.
Okay.
It's just Alexia Ranae is better for marketing purposes.
Alexia Ranae. Okay, so what, I mean, on the day-to-day, what?
Alex.
Alex, okay.
Yep, just call me Alex.
Okay, that'll work. Because I'm like, that's what I saw. And then I saw, like, on Instagram, like, when I was messaging, I was like, wait, did that change? Like, or is it, like, am I getting it wrong? I'm like, oh, fuck.
No, but I will say my website, once I finish redoing it, it's going to be Alexia All Access because some hoe out there got Alex All Access on the URL, and I'm not paying $1,000 for it. So, if you'd like to give that back to me, hit my line. Okay.
What did they tell you? That's how much they tell you?
Yeah, that's how much it's for sale. Like on the freaking URL
wow.
thing, it's $1,000. I ain't fucking got that kind of money.
I feel like, yeah, people just like I guess that might be like a business. I feel like people like just looking up URL or like trying out URLs and just taking them and like squatting on them.
Yeah, and it's real rude because I want that.
That sucks. Yeah, that's same thing. I mean, not as high stakes, but I thought that with my Instagram handle, and I'm like, I have that like some dumb underscore at the end, and I'm like, it's so dumb. But the funny thing, like branding wise and thinking like that, that's one thing I did like with my name too, like because I go by OC, which people are always like, what does that stand for? It's like it doesn't stand for anything. I just like shortened my name.
Right.
So my name's Osiel, like Osiel. But when I was in a band, I knew I had like a lot of internet friends that like in other bands and stuff like that. And we would see each other like in real life and nobody would come up to me or they would like look at me, like give me that look. I'm like, I know that person, but like no one was coming up. And I'm like, what is it? And I remember changing because I'm like, I feel like it's going to make it easier to introduce myself and stuff, you know, whatever. And then as soon as I did that, like I started getting a lot more people just walking. I was like, oh, like it's OC. I'm like, so that really was it. Like that's what was causing that barrier. Yeah. But it also helps just in like situations where you're meeting tons of people, especially like even then I was like in a smaller circle with like bands and stuff. But now like I talk to so many people, it's important for like them to be able to remember what like your name was like it like things that shouldn't be that big of a deal like are like how do you make you sure that next time they see you they remember your name like you know stuff like that and making it easier for them to remember that is like important and then like even thinking about it like you're saying like from a marketing like standpoint
like it just sounds better. Like I've never gone by Alexia. I've never any other variation of Alex really. Like I have people that try to call me Alexia. I'm like ugh. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Not Lexi, but like you, if someone like comes up to me and they call me Alex, I'm like, oh hey, like I don't correct them or whatever, and then eventually everyone else around me starts calling me Alex. I'm like, oh okay, that's her actual name. It's like Alexia is my stage name. Alex is my actual name.
It's like if you like we're actually
if you know me,
if we're homies, like,
you know I'm Alex.
Yeah, that's also a good way to just differentiate. Like you know, like people like this is what level we're at like in friendship. Like this is how close you can get. What's going on, everybody? It's OC, your host for the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast, and I'm here today to talk to you about Full Step Go. Now, as you can see today, I am dripped in it. I got the shirt, I got the hat, but Full Step Go is a lot more than just clothes. It's more than clothing. It's a culture. Full Step Go has always been a symbol that cultivates a community of creativity and growth. Whether it's music, artwork, clothing, they are all over the map making waves. They truly do inspire creatives to uncover their potential and discover their true selves. There really is no limits when it comes to your creativity. So follow Full Step Go to join the new counterculture movement and go against the mainstream.
Yep.
So you were talking right now, like as far as like your grandma being like the kind of like biggest support with like your creative endeavors. How do we get to photography? Like what like phases did you go? What brought you there?
So I originally, I've actually never told the full thing because I just never felt like typing this shit out.
Well, this
so
is
you're gonna,
the right place to do it. Here we go.
Scoop.
I'm just gonna shut up.
So I grew up, you know, I've always loved music. My mother at one point she toured bands like my God, whatever that band Bret Michaels is in, she kind of helped out with you know, Motley Crue. She did a lot of stuff with like the Scorpions. My aunt did a lot of booking at Whiskey a Go Go back in the day. Worked with members like The Doors. My other aunt worked with Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin, helping all that other stuff. And so
what? Hold on, what?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Yeah. I grew up with all these stories in my head, and by the time, you know, they were like, I was old enough to understand, none of them were in the scene anymore. And I just grew up with all these stories and all these pictures. And so, you know, music was always a big thing. Sunday mornings, you wake up, Queensryche's playing on vinyl, and we're cleaning. And it's just, music. And I grew up, and I was like, okay, I kind of figure out what kind of genre I like, which is like alt. Of most forms. And I was a Tumblr girly. I love Warped Tour. I freaking obsessed over Warped Roadies, and I watched that all the time. And it's like, oh man, I want to do that one day. Like I was like set, like when I turned 18, because I remember DMing a lot of like the roadies that were on the thing. Like, hey, how do I freaking do this? Oh, like gotta be 18, blah, blah, blah. Well, that kind of like went to the wayside. I was still going to concerts. I was still going to shows. I'm in high school. I'm like really into Pierce the Veil and all this stuff. And I start getting on Tumblr. I'm like seeing all these girls like doing like makeup, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, man, I think I want to be a makeup influencer. So, you know, to bring my grandma into it, you know, I was talking to her, and I was like, hey, you know, I think I want to do this. And so she sent me like all this like nice makeup, and my parents helped. And I remember begging my mom. I was like, can I please have a camera? Can I please have a camera? And we were never like poor, but we didn't have a lot. And I remember that was like one of the biggest gifts they'd ever gotten me at the time. And it was this Samsung point and shoot, but it was like big, like one you can get from Walmart or whatever. Yeah. And I started doing like makeup videos. And that's kind of like, I dipped my toe into like doing YouTube. You can still find these YouTube videos. Don't judge me. I'm so sorry. And I was like,
the origin story.
Yeah. And so, yeah, listen, there's a video out there. One of my YouTube videos called Smell My Armpit. It's my most famous one. I'm just going to let that be. There's also a room tour on there, so you can see all my old like band merch on the wall. It's really cool.
That might be the old, like most popular one, because you just kind of went viral again.
I mean, no one smelled them right now. I'm real nervous under these lights in OC's office, so let's be for real. But I started there, and I was like, okay, you know, I kind of like this camera. Let's do some cool stuff. My sister, she's not blood sister, but I consider my sister. She was a photographer. She used me as a test dummy forever, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it one day. I have this camera. Let's see. I had some friends at the time who needed, like, maternity photos done. I was like, okay, why don't I do it? I have a camera. So we did it. And from there, it started a whole, like, spiral. I ended up going from 2016 to 2023-ish. I was a portrait and wedding photographer for like the longest time.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got to there. And
just photography in general.
Yeah.
Like as like you actually practicing and working on it. Okay.
Yep. And I was like, okay, this is fine. I started getting really burned out. I was doing like 30 to 40 weddings a year.
Wow.
And that's a lot. And I work full time. I still worked multiple jobs at this time.
Oh, wow.
So I was still working like a full-time like office job, and then like a server or something. And then I've always kind of had like another side hustle still to this day. I always work multiple jobs, and then I would do that. And the weddings, I don't know if you've ever like...
Weddings are super intense for like photographers in like especially. It's like to me, just seeing it from the outside and then like talking to people that do it, I'm like, it seems like one of the most stressful times like ever as a photographer?
You know, in the beginning, I didn't know how to like vet my clients properly, and I was just kind of like taking what I could get. So I wasn't like really sitting down and interviewing them well, and I kind of learned to do that. But damn, the problem with me is I like everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, you're cool. Okay, yeah. Because like you can definitely tell if you're gonna work well with somebody just by like I used to send a survey, and I could be like, man, if you took time to answer these questions, yeah, we gonna get along.
Maybe.
If you didn't, probably not gonna do it. But everyone pretty much answered the questions, and it was like nonstop all the time. And then I had actually ended up with a spinal tumor in late 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, like, I can picture that, but like, what is that?
So, I can even show you a scar. So, one day I woke up and I thought I had like a Charlie horse, and I was like, what the heck? And it just never got better, and it kept getting worse. And then eventually I was like practically immobile. I couldn't even like sleep in my own bed. I had to go stay with my parents.
Oh my God.
Like my husband was like all home by himself. I'm having to sleep in my mom's bed because it was the only bed I could get comfortable in.
Wow.
And eventually they figured out it was this spinal tumor. Like, here's my spinal cord, here's the tumor.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm now being told, you know, about to have this surgery, you could be paralyzed.
Wow.
Just like you may not be in pain, but you may not be able to feel anything. And leading up to that surgery, I'm just like terrified. I'm like thinking all the things that, like, you know, before then I hadn't really gone to concerts that often, was kind of broke, didn't really like make the effort to do so. And I was just like, dang, I'm gonna, not that, you know, if you end up paralyzed you can't do stuff, but like I'm just sitting here watching my whole life.
I mean, your world completely changes. So
Yeah.
yes, you can do stuff, but now you have to get used to like a whole new way to do it. So you're pretty much like starting from like the beginning,
Yeah.
where you know you've made all this progress like in something that you're doing, and then it's like, oh, now I have to. Sure, I can do it, but one, in the moment, you're not thinking about how to get there. It just seems impossible.
Yeah.
And two, like it's gonna take time to figure out how to do that. Like
Yeah.
again, so no, I can definitely see how like that's super daunting.
Yeah. And I like cried. I remember like crying to my parents, I cried to my husband. I was just like, you know, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do, what we're going to do. And then finally the day of the surgery came, and at that point I'm in so much pain. I may be sleeping 4 hours a night, maybe.
Wow. And
And I'm on like 12 different medications just for pain, and none of it's really working. And I'm like, at this point, I don't care what happens. We're going to do the surgery. Had this wonderful doctor. Shout out Dr. Altamimi. I love you so much. You don't do affection, but like, love you so much. He did my surgery, and I can walk. So I had 6 weeks of healing, and I was at the time working at this like, so like my day job, I worked in like construction contract analytics, and I was doing that, and man, it sucked the soul out of me, that company. So I like have 6 weeks, I have nothing to do with thing. I'm like, damn, I want the hell out of this job. So I got to find another job. But then I was also like, I don't want to go back to weddings, really.
yeah.
I still do them, but I don't want to do that all the time. I'm so burnt out. It's not setting my soul on fire. I miss being able to go to shows, because that's kind of the reason why I didn't go. If there was a show, I was probably at a wedding or at another shoot, and I was just missing stuff left, right, and center. And I was like, I am going to try concert photography. I love music. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to try and do it. So I like set everything up, and I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
And just kind of threw myself in like head first. I'm still doing that. And that's how Alex All Access was born.
That's awesome. Like I like to see that change, because people do turn like something that they're passionate about, and then once you figure out a way, like not to say it's a bad thing, but like weddings or something, or it's the quickest way to make it a job. It's like people need wedding photographers, and it doesn't flex, at least in my eyes, like a certain creative muscle for like me. I mean, maybe for some people, I've seen people like that do really cool stuff with it. Maybe it works for them. But I remember, I think I was doing like just random videos. I think I started a vlog that I was having the funnest time with. And a lot of my friends just kept being like, oh, like you have a camera. You should start looking at doing weddings. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't need to like work something side. But to me, in my eyes, I was like, that's going to make something that's fun, like not going to be fun for me at the moment. And it wasn't what I was looking for to develop. But making that leap into finding like what you actually like want to do with the skill that you've like worked on is a super cool moment because you figure out like, oh, I can do this, like, you know, and do make something that actually is going to make me happy and like proud, which is very cool that happened for you, and I'm kind of glad that it did. But yeah, especially after like such a scary moment. But I mean, that's perspective I think that you were provided. Like, so it's like, why am I guess that's kind of the moment you had, right?
I've been going back and forth, like, okay, I think I'm done with weddings. I think I'm just gonna be done with photography. Like, I was ready to throw in the towel, like, with photography altogether. I was so burnt out, and I was just like, it didn't, how concert and just music media comes to me, it was not anything like, I was having to like convince people that I'm worth something with the wedding photography thing. And like, not that everybody has to like gas you up or validate you, but like, I genuinely feel like music media is what I'm supposed to be doing. Not that any of this has been easy. It hasn't. I've worked so fucking hard and nonstop, like all the time. But the amount of like success in my eyes, you know, as small as it may be, that I've achieved in the, you know, year versus the 7.5 years that it took me to get to the point that I'm at now with Alex All Access, night and freaking day. And that right there is how I know, like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. It's like what's coming to you the easiest, feels natural, doesn't feel forced, like the creativity just flows.
Yes.
It just makes sense if you're in the right, like, if you're in the realm that you're supposed to be, you know what I mean? Like it's not as much of a struggle, or the struggles you don't mind as much, like going through them, because at the end you're getting an outcome of something you actually appreciate and like admire.
Well, you know, so May's coming up, and I'm a part of a couple like festival media teams for the first time ever, and like I have shows every weekend, like starting from Friday to Sunday. Still working my full time like 9 to 5 in between all that, and I used to do that with weddings, and I used to just be like, oh, okay, wedding season's coming up. I'm going to be so tired and like so like not happy. I cannot shut the fuck up about May. I'm so excited. Like, I'm so tired already, but I'm so excited. Like, this is like stuff I've like always wanted to go to and like be a part of, and like now I get to like fully immerse myself in it, and I'm like looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Like, I do not at all one moment wake up in the morning and think, oh, May's coming. I'm like, May's coming, let's go.
Like, it's gonna be super tiring, but you know it's gonna be like just as equally like rewarding or more. Because you mentioned like, you know, even like it helps, like you say, you're still working that, like, you know, that 9 to 5. But it makes that easier knowing that, hey, like after this, like I'm still gonna go do like something like really cool, like after it, and productive, and like do stuff that you want to do. But I like kind of felt the same way when I had like a job and I wasn't doing anything like creative for a while, and that's when I really started to feel like how soul sucking the place was. Like, oh, like this shit, I can't do this like without anything extra. And then like once we like started like working on like NoiseROT and like a bunch of stuff, I'm like, oh, like I don't care like what I'm doing during the day, because I get to do this all after, you know, like when I'm done with this, like I get to do like some really cool stuff, and that makes it worth it. So I'll work whatever job I need to, like until we, you know, that's the goal, like to make this like the full-time thing. But like you start somewhere, but I'm like, I don't mind it as much because I have something like worthwhile, you know, to do.
And like working towards, like, it like keeps you going. I mean, my 9 to 5, like they know about what I do, like on the weekends and during the week. And they're like all super supportive. So that also really helps. Like when I switched companies for my 9 to 5, that also was like, cause my boss, like, he's like, hey, can you give me a pass to 5-figure death punch? Like, he's just like, he's all about it. So that really helps too. Like, it's not like, again, not my favorite thing, but he's like, oh, you got to go to a show, leave a little bit early. I won't tell anybody. Go. I'm like, okay. Yeah,
that is like finding something that works too. Cause I switched jobs maybe like a little over 2 years ago now, into something that was super like I wouldn't say they're incredibly like supportive, but it's more supportive in the way like, oh, if I need to switch days to work, like because I have a show, leave early for shows, like all that is completely like, go ahead and do it. Actually, this past week was the first time I really like told people about it. Like I've told people what I do, but like as far as like they had like a little quarterly meeting, they're like, oh, what is everybody up to? And then I had like normal life stuff. Obviously, like, I I just got engaged like not too long ago. So that, but then I was like, I'm going to throw in like I just like rebranded like the podcast, and now it's got my own little logo, which is the first time, again, like I've been doing it for 2.5 years, and it's the first time like the logo's actually been just for like the podcast itself.
Yeah,
it's like a little like taking ownership. I was like, oh, like I'm really proud of this. So like I'm like, let me show like as many people as I can. But yeah, like having the right support around you is incredibly important, and people pushing you, and you are around a lot of creatives, like, which must feel like great. When did you feel like you became part of like that community and found like some peers to kind of help push you forward?
Well, my emotional support human's here, so I feel like I have to bring her up. So Bailey's here in the corner. So I actually, one of my like fellow like people that I've like shot weddings with before. Her name's Kylie, Double K Photography, and she shared something. I don't know what it was. It was on Facebook. And I noticed that Bailey was tagged. A shot of Bailey's. You know, this is probably like the 30th mention of her on this podcast.
Who?
And I know, who is that?
A shot of Bailey?
I don't even know
photos?
Who that is.
Concert photography they do?
I think
portraits?
So. You know, actually, I think they just go to shows and stand there and don't talk to anybody. I think that's what they're known for.
Okay.
So So I don't remember what happened or what it was, but I slid in her DMs and she was like super welcoming, and it took us a couple months to meet. Like I think I slid in her DMs in late May. We didn't meet till like July, and we did like some headshots together.
Late May, what, like last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know everyone thinks we've known each other forever.
That's the feeling that I literally had. Like, so I was waiting to be like, oh, like you're like, it's like late in the game and you haven't like met that community. That's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't meet her till May. And so, okay. And then like, I never shut up. And I make friends with the wall. And so like, I started going to shows. Like one of my first like bigger shows was like Van Full of Nuns, and I met Constance there, which, fun fact, when I got approved to go shoot for that, I said, I remember putting on Facebook, I shot a van full of nuns. No context. No context.
It's like not tagged or anything. It's just written.
Yeah. So,
people had questions, I'm sure.
Nobody, photographers, please stop saying shot and start saying like photograph, because somebody else on X or Twitter, whatever you're going to call it nowadays, says, I'm going to shoot all the gay artists at Coachella. That's not what they meant, but that's what it looked like. Oh, no. It was terrible. Anyways,
yeah, that should be a movement. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to, new merch idea.
New merch idea. There you go.
I'm on it. But I never shut up. And I love people, maybe a little too much. I like wear my heart on my sleeve, and everyone and anyone's a friend, until like proven otherwise. And I just kind of just went to like every show ever. So even if I wouldn't like have gotten approved for a show, 9 times out of 10, I've already bought a ticket. So, okay, I didn't get approved to shoot it. Yeah. I'm going. And I met people that way, and I would just like follow people on Instagram and like get really, kind of indulged in the scene. And honestly, it wasn't until recently that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like a part of this. So there's a band called Set Adrift. Trey and all them, Taylor Can't Slap and Josh and Andrew and them. So they asked me to come out and photograph their first show at Trees, their first show ever as a band. Yeah. And I was sitting there, and Tone Jam was there, and Matt Black was there, and I was just like looking around at all these people that like I've like worked with in the DVW scene, but not really. And I was like, holy crap! I'm like here with this band. They asked me to be here. All my like media friends are here. I've like have not walked a step and not had someone that I know. And I was like, it's taken me a year, but like these are my people.
Like you're part of it. Like this.
Yeah, it felt really real, and it just continues. Like I hit the 1 year mark, and it's just continued to get more and more like set in here recently. Like I don't know a stranger anymore. It's wonderful.
That's really cool. I think that's what helps most people keep going is finding that community of people that you can be around, that you can bounce off ideas, or even just try new stuff with, or just like if you're shooting in a pit, like, hey, the person next to me, I know them, you know. It gives you a little bit more confidence in those places where you may like be a little nervous on things. And yeah, but the thing you mentioned of like, hey, like if, you know, even if I don't get approved for something, like I've already bought a ticket. Like I do that so much where I'm like, I have an idea and I'll shoot it out, and like sometimes it lands, sometimes it didn't, but I'm like, either way, like it's like I want to go like to this, you know, to the show. I want to be part of this. So like whether the idea works or not, like I'm still gonna be there. Like being part of that, of just music and live music in general is just I'm been such a big fan of for like so long.
Even
it's like
honestly,
crazy.
if you get approved, especially for like these smaller local shows, buy a freaking ticket. They're like $20. Like being now on like the other side of things, I've seen just how much these bands actually do make, but what that money has to go right back into. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's a lot of playing and like, oh, it covers some costs of like stuff. But like most of the time, like if like you know, buy a ticket, that's why like a lot of like, there's sometimes one of my pet peeves as like part of like a promoter team is like, people trying to get into shows for free at like a local show, and I'm just like, it's very cheap, and all this money is like for like the show in general to run. You know what I mean? Like because all these venues cost stuff, like getting people to play cost stuff, like all the production stuff, like things like that. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that it's going into. And there's like, in a promoter team, like I've witnessed, you know, going through months of just like, oh, like these shows have not made any of the money that is. So we've like been on a continuous streak of like losing, and then we've had like our ups and stuff like that. But all that money, literally, nobody in like our promotion team makes any money. Like it's all literally reinvested, which is what all these bands are doing. Like every band that you have going out there, like on a local level, like there's very few that are taking home anything. Everything's being reinvested, whether it's gear, whether it's travel, whether it's anything they need, merch, like all that stuff costs money to do. And yeah, the ticket is one thing. And then like buying, you know, any like shirt and stuff like that, like is again, another piece of support that just helps them continue to build. Like, so if you go out and see like a band and you like them, yeah, definitely. If they have anything, pick it up. You know what I mean? Like just, it's going to help so much. Again, none of that, you know, that $10 isn't going like, oh, like we made $10 today for this ticket or whatever. Like, no, it's going into something else that they had to pay.
I get gas to get home.
Yeah, especially touring bands, and it's smaller touring bands that are coming to town. Yes, those are especially, and I love how like that's most of like what the community is aimed at. Like whenever a touring band's on, like I always hear the, you know, whoever's playing be like, oh, make sure to pick something up first. Like prioritize like touring bands, and I love that so much because everybody knows, like, because that's the same feeling they want when they're going to like those people's towns and stuff. Like, they're gonna need that support. But yeah, so you get into photography, concert photography, and then you are trying to like evolve that a little bit as far as like, because I know I saw your work with like Spliced, first of all.
Yep.
There's another project I want to talk about. Well, there's two more projects I want to talk about, but we'll hit Spliced first. So you start doing like some media like work for them, and this is more of like the actual like content building for.
Yes. So Damien is like the founder, the creator. He had already like had Bailey and all of them, and he was like, "Hey, I don't really need another photographer right now. I really just need someone like for content and to do like interviews and stuff." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let's freaking do it. I've never done it before." Literally what I told you, I will talk to anybody. So I was like, "Let's freaking do some interviews." And so I started with interviews. I think the first band I interviewed with them was, oh my gosh, I think it was this band called Spirit Leaves. They're out of Florida. They're freaking awesome. Love those guys. And I realized that like I really liked it, and I got to see like a whole other set of like artists too. Like I ended up getting to interview like a member, Eric from Escape the Fate, Sam from freaking Asking Alexandria. What the heck? What is even going on right now? I'm gonna die. Literally got to ask him, "Hey man, why'd you name your band that?" And honestly, it was kind of cringy, and I wish I would have never done that. So I was like, "Hey, did you name it after me?" He was like, basically gave me the look of like, if I had $1 for any time someone asked me that. I'm like, "Oh no, I'm actually named Alexandria though." It's kind of cool. But so we started doing that, and I love it. Actually, I just did a song review. We're starting to get into like, we did a lot of written stuff, and it's fine, but let's be kind of for real. People aren't going to the website. Yep. They're not going to read that shit. And so I was like, okay. Damien's like, I really want to start doing like live reviews. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Well, I love Bad Omens. I love them.
I've heard that. That's actually probably the first thing I heard about you before I ever knew you. Yeah.
That's the worst news I've ever heard.
Yeah, I think that literally is the first thing I knew about you. I don't know. I'm not gonna say who told me.
I think I know who did.
It's like, oh yeah, like Alex is obsessed with it Noah. So like she's like, because she was like, because I think Bailey was like, so now my like TikTok feed is super like full of like Bad Omen stuff because Alex is always talking about Bad Omens. Well, it was on the pod. Yeah, it was on the podcast. So yeah, it exists somewhere.
It was on the podcast. God dang! I'm so sorry if you see this. I'm really cool. I swear to God. God dang. Well, the story's not going to get much better. So
I know. I saw this clip. So yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I thought you sidestepped it earlier. Going back to it.
Okay, so I did kind of sidestep it, but we're going to bring it up now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we got to get shit that gets the people going. So I'd actually like, this was the first time like I'd listened to The Drain, and it just came out, you know, they've been on kind of this, not even really hiatus. Anyways, so I was like, okay, what's going to get the people going? Well, I don't think about things when I say them because it was my genuine reaction. And I was like, okay, we got to edit this. Well, my first freaking edit, I was like, okay, I've got to put this in the front. It's literally, I'm on Lexapro and I can't come, but this song makes me want to. And now it has 9,000 views. And Health has shared it to their story. Swarm has shared it to their story.
Oh my God.
Which Bad Omens hasn't interacted with it. No one from them has, but like, they've had to have seen it.
Once, I think, yeah, it's going to get passed around, like,
so,
it's them.
I just want everyone to know, I'm actually not on Lexapro. I'm on Buspar. Let's get that right.
Yeah, let's get.
But most everybody knows what Lexapro does.
Could have got a Lexapro sponsorship, baby.
Oh, Lexapro, sponsor me. I'm so
But if there's any way to sell, if there's any way to, like, you know, promote a song, like, that's, I saw the clip and I'm like, maybe I need to listen to this. Like, how good is this song? I go, I'm not on anything. What's this going to do to me? Like,
I mean, listen, if you were bricked up listening to The Drain, me too, baby. Me too. This is not what I wanted my claim to fame to be, but I think it's becoming that. And I see them back to back in like next week, and I'm like terrified because I'm not getting in that pit, so I'm gonna be in the back by like the sound guy, and the sound guy's really active online, so I can only imagine. And like, you can't miss my fucking hair. I stick out like a sore ass thumb. And so I'm like, I'm terrified. One of them's like, oh, that's the girl that can't come. I'm like, fuck. So, anyways, whatever.
it's going to help the brand.
Splice, you're welcome.
That's gonna be the submissions of like songs. Of, like, I think this one will do it. Like, dude,
I'm like,
check out this banger.
Damien's like, okay, when are we gonna make more reaction videos? And I'm like, oh, okay, I have them in the pipe, but I just don't know. Probably at that time.
I feel like the rest of the conversation is just gonna come back to this moment.
I know.
Oh god.
He was like. So Damien was like, okay, when are we going to make, like, you know, more video reviews? I'm like, okay, I have a couple that I want to do. Because Splice, we still support, like, the local, like, stuff. But, like, it's more for, like, the bigger media. Like, Knock Loose just came out with a song called Suffocate that I haven't listened to fully.
Yeah.
Anyways, Knock Loose just came out with a song called Suffocate that I want to do a review on, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I don't know if I can talk, I don't know what I can say, but that's gonna top the other one. I don't know if I just want that to be my brand, like, instead of like Nick Nocturnal doing whatever, so Alex All Access being fucking abrasive and super just cutthroat with what she says, because I don't have a freaking filter. I could have said fuck right there. I said I don't have a freaking filter. And anyways.
Start do it again. And we'll cut it in. We'll overdub it with you like cussing.
I don't have a fucking filter.
We'll do the opposite instead of dubbing it over with like
with the clean version. Yeah.
It's like explicit version only.
God damn.
Oh fuck.
So Splice is like doing that, and we're kind of trying to like do a little bit more like video content, more like real like face-to-face content, a little bit more personal, because you're right, no one has an attention span nowadays. So we got some stuff in the pipeline. We've worked really hard. Damien's worked really hard with a couple of like graphic designers. The website's killer. So yeah, there's some things in the works for that.
Well, I think. I mean, we're laughing all like about this, but that's the best way to create content like that, especially like reaction content. Like, you need your genuine personality. Like, if you try to censor any like bit of it, like, it comes off as disingenuous, and like people don't want to relate to that. Like, they'll truly enjoy something. It's like, you know, and then obviously this is my perspective. I see like they people, but I always mean myself. But like, what I've like found that I truly enjoy, like, if someone really likes a song and like super into it, like in their way, then that's cool. Like, if they don't like a song and they're passionate about why they don't like it, like that causes me to keep watching it. Yeah. If you're just like not reacting or trying to figure out like what to say and stuff like that, like it comes off like that. It's like, oh, I don't like, this person's thinking too much about it. It's not a reaction. It's not really what this is making you feel. It feels more scripted, and like a lot of that stuff like has its place, but reactions isn't one of them. That's why even like with this, especially like I think early on people would ask me like, oh, do you have like a list of questions like that you're gonna do for an interview? I was like, no, like not at all. Like I have maybe a few things that I'm genuinely curious about. Otherwise, like we're just gonna talk. Yeah. And that's like what it runs as, and it creates like a more organic feel. Which like same thing with reactions. Like if you are legitimately like watching this and you're reacting to it, and hey, fuck the filter, just like say whatever you want, like you get some really cool stuff, you know, and you're famous now, making merch off of it.
Buy my shirt. Oh my god, that is not where I envisioned the first like piece of Alex All Access merch being. But like I have 10 pre-orders right now for that shit. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
so that's what I'm gonna be known for. Okay, you know what, we're gonna roll with it. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I guess
it's fucking working. Okay. All right. So that's Splice. So that's where you're getting like start into like content building. Tell me if you can. I don't know how much you can tell me what all breakup season just got announced.
Okay, so my part of breakup season has not yet been like fully disclosed to everybody yet, and I don't know when it will be.
So in general, though, it's like a collective.
Yes.
Okay.
There's quite a few of us. A lot of these people I have never even met in person. Okay. So I know there's Miriam, there's Rob Pate, who's in From the Tides. There's Alexis, who's with Hope and Tact and Spit Jam. There's Cheyenne. Why can't I think of her? A Candid World, who does a lot of stuff for like Last I Saw Us on them. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I'm so sorry if I am. Please don't kick me out.
Don't kick me out. Yeah, they're gonna break up with you.
Shit, yeah, they're gonna. It's my breakup season. And then there's me. Did I get that? Is that everybody?
Oh, Marina, right?
Marina.
Tillman?
Who's the other person?
I can't remember what.
This is terrible. Intermission. I'm a terrible member of this thing. They're gonna break up with me.
Yeah, Marina Tillman.
Juanita!
Oh, okay.
Juanita. So sorry, Juanita. Okay. Should we redo that?
No.
Okay, fuck it.
I'm telling you.
My bad, Juanita. I didn't mean to leave you out, girl. Thanks so much. Like I said, I haven't met a lot of these people. So that's kind of another thing. It's like, oh, they wanted me to be a part of this. Yeah. Like, never even met half these people.
Gotcha.
But it's a collective. We're currently planning a little show on August 24th. It's Hot Ghoul themed, like Hot Ghoul Summer. Because it's right in August. So there should be more information coming on that. It's August 24th. There should be more information coming on that soon. But then that's just a collective. They're going to be promoters. You know, they're going to be working on like social media, like management content. If you need someone to do that, you know, photo, video, like press, booking, all that kind of jazz. Just like music media. So it was really cool.
Nice.
They asked me to be a part again. Wish I could tell you what I'm doing for it, but I don't know if we can. Okay.
That's what I mean. I was like, that's like brand new. Like, just got to land like last week. So I'm like, and I didn't see anything particular about like what exactly you were doing. So I'm like, I bet it's like still
it's still a under secret. Wraps. It's going to be cool, though. It's going to be cool.
Is it part of what you were telling me like the other night?
No, it's not.
That's different. Okay.
That's different.
Okay.
That's just me.
Cool. So that was my next thing to go into, but I'm like, I don't know if that's it. So I
Nope.
didn't want to like just bring it up.
That's just me.
Okay. So yes, you were talking earlier about being a Tumblr girlie and then your obsession with Warped Tour. And I feel like that's what led into like creating this idea that you have.
So I was telling OC at a party for Bailey's boyfriend, I want to do like this podcast because like I've watched you and like I've grown up watching all the other podcasts. My favorite's H3. I don't know if you watch them.
Yeah,
I'm a big old Ethan and Hila fan. I don't know if that's controversial. So sorry. Ethan gets canceled every other week. So my bad. But I was like, I want to like talk with people who also kind of grew up in the late 2000s to mid 2010s when like Tumblr, end of MySpace, Tumblr popped off. Like I had a Tumblr and it was during the Irma Gerd like era and my it was during the Irma Gerd and my freaking Tumblr was Purse the Veal or the Rural or something like that. Like I had a post on there with like 10,000 notes. I thought I was hot shit. But like music was like, it was crazy. Like we got Pierce the Veil blew up then. Mice and Men, All Time Low. Just so much like Neck Deep came out then, like it's so far. I could go on forever.
Yeah.
And Warped Tour was really hitting off. It was right before Warped Tour ended, and that's like where a lot of my music tastes like fully like switched on for me, and I really got into like the alt scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I just want to see like how other people got into it, what their story were, how they got to like into like the music that they listen to now, and like just how they've gotten to where they are now if they're in the alternative scene. And so I'm gonna do a little podcast. It's just gonna be called Alex All Access. You're gonna get a all access pass to other people's noggins about music.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna talk about growing up little emo kids or little alt kids, whatever.
They're everywhere.
It's a pandemic.
And it's really cool to see how everybody gets into it because like you see the people who got into it like really early and then people got into it like really late, you know? Because like there's a tons of bands that I've always like that I feel like that's a gap in like my musical knowledge. One of them that I always get roasted for is because I played in a metalcore band, and every time I say metalcore, like there's like, oh, Asking Alexandria, you brought him up earlier. Never listened to like them, like
wow.
ever. And I don't know why. I think like I just again, it was weird because I listened to everybody around that era, but for some reason that wasn't one of them, and it just like never happened. I'm like, oh, like, and it feels like so much now to go back and like, is it gonna be the same if I listen to it now? Like it won't be, but
right.
But it's also cool to see like how like someone who listened to it late, their perspective on like the music versus like someone who like heard it from like its initiation.
Yeah, and like how they like got there. Like how'd you even? You're so late in the game. How'd you even?
Yeah, like
find them. Yeah. Like what was like your story? I know my story. I was in a freaking WeWorld chat room and someone said Asking Alexandria and not the American average. You weren't on WeWorld? No. Oh shit. I tell you, I was raised by the internet.
I feel judged. Bailey, were you on WeWorld? Okay, cool. I'm in the majority in the room.
No.
Exactly. Like you said it like I should know what the fuck this was.
Apparently I do that a lot.
Judged me. Like, you weren't on WeWorld? Wait, should she Google it?
I'd say, well, I probably should have been monitored on there, but like, it's fine. But like, that's someone typed in the group chat, not the American average. I'm like 11. And like I was like, oh yeah, you stupid fucking whore. That's a hard ass lyric.
Oh my
I'm
God.
down. Like I want to hear shit like that. Like where like you were on Kick and like someone was like, hey man, check out this song. Like I want to know all the things.
Yeah.
Like I just want to hear. So I'm just gonna like bite random people on. Couple guests. Hope to have you on there. Bailey's gonna be my first guest, of course, because
it checks out. Yeah.
We're gonna film this weekend.
But really?
Yes, we're going on a little weekend getaway together. She's shooting a festival, and I'm gonna go with her.
Nice.
And we're gonna
shoot it out there. That sounds fun. That sounds really cool. I love like people just creating stuff like this because honestly, like, so we're talking about like community and finding like right spot. Like that's one thing that I have lacked on like with this. Like I haven't really reached out to that community, to people who do stuff like this. So I've like, obviously like I'm in the music scene all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm in all this and and creatives just in general, but someone else creating like a show like this or a podcast or something like that, like I don't really talk to many others. So that was one of my things for this year is like I want to meet more people that do it, you know, that do content like this. So I had he doesn't do a podcast, but his name is Yates. He runs a YouTube channel called Breakdown Central, but he does reactions. So I'm like, okay, that's like some online content building. So let me talk to him. Yeah. And saying like the way they create that. I ran into like 2 other podcasts over the years, but never really like interacted with them. So I'm like trying to reach out to that. When you were mentioning that you were doing, like I got so freaking excited. I'm like, yes, somebody else that's gonna understand like what it is, you know. But just making friends and like other people like in that community too, like is fun. And like somebody I think one time mentioned something. Somebody started a podcast or something like that, and they're like, oh, like. He's like, are you mad that they're making something? I'm like, fuck no. Like, why? Yeah. Like, there's just more stuff out now. Like, do you understand it? Like, it's more, you should encourage that. Like, if there's more people doing it, like, it just, again, there's more people creating stuff. I go, what I make isn't going to be for everybody. No. I go, so maybe that's like their thing. I go, it just creates more things where people, it's just like music. Like, you know, now there's like, genres like infinite, like people are making up stuff every day, so there will be someone making something that you like. And same thing I say like to musicians, I'm like, just make what you want to make, and like, and eventually you're gonna find your audience. I go, that's just gonna be the task. I go, it's finding those people. I go, but dude, like there's people out there for like everything. But it's super cool. And I ran into somebody who like told me like, oh, like I started a podcast because like I saw you were doing one, and then like I had friends that were like, you know, musicians that I want to talk to them. I'm like, that's so fucking cool. I go, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's literally like the community I want to be around with. Like people, creatives that just make people who maybe are nervous about making stuff, like being welcome to be like, hey, go ahead and make your stuff and it's gonna be fine. Same thing with musicians. And then once you have that community, like they push you to get better, you know, like, and it's like, oh, let's do cool stuff. And then you can do stuff together and collaborate and things like that. Like it's so fun.
Yeah, you're all like building like off of each other. Like I'm a firm believer, and people say all the time and don't mean it, and that pisses me off, but like community over competition, baby.
Oh, fuck
all day long. I will scream it to the freaking rooftops. It's so dumb because I think you're right. Like you get better when you're in a circle of like-minded people, and you can all kind of like bounce like ideas off of each other, and like, hey, you know, man, I had this, like I had one interview, and man, I wish like we would have been talking this time, because man, I haven't done interviews since, and I'm like, this is, and then I'm on the other side of it this time, but like it really like fucked me up, because I was like, damn, like it wasn't good. Like the person I interviewed wasn't into it. I wiped that shit from the face of the earth. I was like, I just really beat myself up. It wasn't 100% my fault, but I was like, man, like it would have been nice to like, I should have just freaking reached out to you anyways, because whatever. But it's nice to have people you can kind of like fall back on that are in the same scene, because they can be like, you know, man, no, it's happened to me before. Like you just feel a little less alone.
Yeah, it makes it, which has happened. Like I don't think I haven't pulled any down. They're all up, but I've had like some where I'm like, oh, this. It felt like, oh, wait, let me look back. I think there's only one where I really felt like, oh, this person doesn't want to be here. And I was like, but I was like, I'm going to do my job here. Like, I'm going to pull as much as I can. And I did my hardest. And once I'm like, okay, like I've done what I can do. Like it's still, and because I take everything with with a grain of salt, which I honestly don't even know what that. I know what it means, but I don't know what people say. With, like it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, what? I don't know what the. Anyways, but like I just don't take it to heart, because I'm like, okay, like maybe before they stepped in, something happened and like it changed their demeanor. So I get that. So I was like, I did my best and like whatever, and left it at that. But yeah, sometimes it feels like, oh shit, like maybe I didn't do enough, and then like when I go back and like listen to these and stuff like I do notice, I'm like, oh, like I should have like done this different, this and that. But yeah, being able to reach out to people and being like, hey, like, has this happened to you? Or like, what would you do in this case? Or getting help like later from people, again, who understand it. Because sometimes, yes, I'll bring it up to, friends or people who I know will try, but sometimes like, oh, like I don't think you
unless
fully
you're in
get
it.
Yeah,
you can't like fully see the other side of the coin.
Yes, exactly. So it's a little difficult to like communicate some of those issues when it's like, oh, like when they don't fully grasp exactly like what that takes. But that's why I think community is super important. And like community over competition is something that for the life of like everything that I've done, like in a band and in like, booking with the podcast, all that stuff, like it just makes more sense and it's less stressful. Because I think initially when I started a band, I wasn't part of the scene. It was barely me getting into it, so I didn't know what community in the scene was. So I did see it as like, and I think the first show we ever played was like a battle of the bands. So it instills like a competition aspect to it. And then I feel like that just grew a little bit for like maybe like a few months, where it was like, oh, how do we become better than this? And then like there was a reason why I struggled with that. And then now I know it's because that doesn't make sense in music. Like, why am I worried about making better music to someone? I go, because it's so subjective. I go, if I just focus on creating cool stuff that I like, I go, then, you know, who cares what the other person's doing? I should be excited for the other person, like making music or trying or putting in the effort.
Well, competition is all that like bands ever focused on. There would never be tour lineups. You just have the fucking headliner. That'd be so lame. Well, it would be so lame. Like you wouldn't have like people underneath them if everyone was so like stuck up their own butt about like, I can't, you know, if I put these people underneath, what if they're gonna freaking, you know, take my limelight? What if they leave after my set? Like you're all here at the end of the day for like the same purpose. Or you should be. That you love music, you love creating, and that you want to play music as your job. Like
super simple. And like that's what everybody else is trying to do. For the most part that you think of, like if you're making music, it's because you enjoy it. You know, because why else? Like, because it's not super easy to break into like this industry and like make it a living. So like if you are taking all this time, like I would hope that you enjoy it, which goes back to like stuff like where you're talking about like photography, where it's like you want to do something that you actually enjoy, where it's, you know, because that's what's going to keep you doing it. You know, once it becomes something you don't like, you know, enjoy doing or even have fun doing, then you're gonna stop. And you, like even you were saying, like you were on the verge of like, I'm about to quit like all of this that I've put work into because I don't enjoy it, like you know. And then finding a way to hold that together and you know, lining up your passion with, you know, something creative that you can do just works out the best. And I've seen just the best results from that, from anyone like I've talked to, and music in general. Especially like I said, at any level, because I say this a lot, but I'm like, oh, it's really cool to see that at a local level, like I have favorite bands, like, you know, and I don't even have to say like, oh, they're my favorite local. It's like, oh, they're one of my favorite bands. Like I really like their music. I go, that's really cool to see. And it's just people trying, like talent exists everywhere. But it's cool to see the range of it, you know, a band at the top, a band like starting off, but the journey there, it's cool to be part of that scene and witness. Absolutely. Cool. So that podcast is filming first episode this weekend. That's exciting. What else you got planned? What else you doing?
I mean, I don't really have a lot of other things planned because I'm working on that secret thing with Views and then the podcast.
The secret thing?
Yeah. Well, it's like kind of secret. No, you know, honestly, I'm preparing. Like I said, I'm part of two media teams for festivals this year. So I am. Have you done festivals already? Nope. No. Okay. Nope. This is the first one? Not on this level. So not actually being part of a media team. I got to get a press pass for the last day of Highway 30 last year, which was like a country music festival. Okay. And this year I was like, you know what? I've done that one. Let me just see if I can reach out. So I did. I cold emailed. I was like, hey, what's up? I'm going to put my name out there. And they said yes. I was like, okay, cool.
So what's the difference at looking like at getting a press pass versus being on a media team?
So with the press pass, like you're pretty much Highway 30 was a little lax, but pretty much first three of like any artist, you don't get any other access other than just like on the other side of the barricade. You just get to be in the photo pit. That's really it. You don't get, at least for Highway 30, it could be different. I know there's some that will give you like access to like a VIP lounge from time to time, but you really just get to shoot and then go just your first three, like a regular show. Okay. So far, like with the festivals I'm doing, like I get accommodations, like they're giving me like a place to stay, and then you know, the festival itself, instead of just like spliced or, you know, myself using the photos, the festival themselves is using it for marketing. Okay. So my work is now getting pushed out to not only like these huge freaking artists, but everyone going to the festival. Like huge,
bigger platform.
Yeah. It's huge. And then like, you know, you get to hang out with these artists too. Like you're the ones, like sometimes you'll get allowed to do like promo pictures for them for the festival. That's what I know so far. And money. Oh yeah, and I'm getting paid. You know, it's pretty good. I got some plans. Kind of want to upgrade my gear, but No, and you also, I'm going to get to work with all these other creatives that I've never met before. Like, all these people are from Houston and don't go to Houston often.
Is that where the festival is going to be? Okay.
And so I haven't told a lot of people what the festival is, so I'm not saying it.
Okay.
So I just I'm real scared I'm going to jinx it. So it's like anything could happen. So I'm just like, even though I just got my artist badge or my laminate in the other day, and I was like, oh my god, it's fucking real.
Heavy breathing.
Yeah, I was like opening it, I was like, oh, fucking look at this thing. Oh my god, it's just a laminated piece of paper from someone's little heat press, but I'm very excited for it. But no, it's I'm excited to work with a lot of these people, and I'm actually talking a lot with the production company of this festival. His girlfriend's pregnant, so I may even do maternity photos for them while we're at the festival.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so it's I'm gonna get to work with a whole bunch of people that are way higher up in the music business than I am.
Yeah.
So it's also a good chance for me to make connections.
Do you you say it's pretty easy for you to talk to people in most cases. Is that bled over into the networking as far as selling yourself? Has that been a pretty easy transition for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd say so. I assume everyone's good-hearted until proven otherwise. It makes me less scared to cold reach out to people or cold email or just go up to someone at a show. I mean, I think so. I made a lot of friends. It's done a lot for me. I mean, I've only been doing this for a year, and I've already hit 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy, and a lot of it is just people who have just hung out with. So if I go to a show and say I'm with this one band, okay, cool. I'm also talking to everybody else that's there, and their merch guy, their sound guy, and making friends with them too. And not just to make connections. Not everything is about connections, because some people don't have connections. That's okay. I like having friends, even though I can barely keep up with the ones I have now. But I just kind of, we're all in the same industry, and unless you're in the music industry in some form, you just don't get it. You just don't get it.
Yeah.
Why are you out all the time? Why are you constantly going? Why are you why do you never sleep? Why is this all you it's just, you get a lot of judgment. And if I can find somebody who also feels the same way we're going to talk.
And I mean, if you're at shows and stuff like that, you increase those percentages of finding those people a lot easier. It's you're here.
Yeah.
You're we're both here. Okay. That's why I always found it super easy to either make friends or even just talk to people at shows that I was going to, because I'm we're both here for someone on this lineup, and likely we're gonna be able to get along about something. I
was just at RBC. Third String just reopened.
I don't know why I heard Arby's first, and I'm who you mean?
We have the meats.
Okay, yes. I don't know. I was an Arby's story, Arby's plug. Let me get an Arby's plug really quick.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love me a good Arby's roast beef sandwich. Hit my line. Anyways,
Bailey, stop.
God, that made me laugh. But
okay.
We're back. Okay. But Third String just bought RBC, so that shit's back. My childhood's back, and one of the first bigger shows they've done there was Breathe Carolina.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
First of all, it was so hot in there. Jesus Christ.
RBC has always been hot as fuck.
Well,
always.
I saw Mike post something on his story about them fixing the air conditioning situation. So hopefully that's fixed. But I went there by myself. I'm not afraid to go to a show by myself too. I just will. I don't care. So I go. I'm vibing. I'm having a great time. Blackout's coming on. I'm having an awesome time. And this girl in front of me, she is having the time of her life, and her boyfriend's just or I don't know what they are, but just I mean,
over here making up a backstory.
I mean, they're together, but she's having the time of her life, and he's just kind of yeah, I'm so happy for you. And she knows I'm vibing, and she turns around, and she grabs my hands, and she starts dancing. I'm dancing with her. I'm oh yeah, and we were best friends by the end of the night.
Yeah,
love her so much. Don't remember her name. I know you follow me. So sorry. But I love. So sorry. But it's stuff like that. I never would have met that person. If I wouldn't have. If I would have been afraid to just cower. But I have Tumblr mutuals. Twitter mutuals. I mean, no, I do have Tumblr mutuals still. They're still my homie Kristen. She came over from Europe. like a couple years ago, and we met that way. She was a G. Anyways, but no, I meet, you know, Twitter mutuals all the time too, like in person, and we all share like the same thing, and it's just great. I think it's done a lot for me, like emotionally, like support wise, just having people in the same circle that all like the same things. So yeah.
You've always been like that? Like very social, or was it like little?
You know, I don't think so. Like, not always. Like, around family, yeah, I would never shut up. I was the only child, but I was raised with my cousin.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, I'm excited. Let's go. But I mean, I was always in sports. I was socialized a lot, and so it didn't really feel like I was an only child. I can share pretty well. So, but no, I don't think I always was. I remember in like middle school, I got bullied a lot. Like,
really?
Right. So my hair is like curled right now, and like half of this shit's extensions. But like, I'm a natural ginger, and I had really ginger, curly hair and like freckles, and I got made fun of like all the time.
Wow.
And so like it really like beat me down. So I remember being like really quiet, and then I moved schools. Like in the middle of that.
Oh.
And it didn't get much better. And then I was like, oh, I'm emo. So then it got even worse.
Yeah.
And it didn't really get better until high school. And I don't know. My freshman year was really rough. Everyone's freshman year is really rough. I had a, trigger warning, I had a really bad eating disorder. Very badly. And had to like, I pulled myself out of that. And I don't know what happened. But after I pulled myself out of that, something kind of like flipped in me, and I was a social butterfly. Just I like that kind of came back out, and I really don't know what happened. And then ever since then, I think I just saw life kind of differently. Also, I'm notorious for like, I have a really good run, like not just me, it happens to everybody. Like, I have a really good run, and then like bad shit just happens to me back to back to back to back to back. And I've just kind of gotten to the point now where it's like, well, I'm not really gonna let it affect me, and I'm still just gonna be friendly and like people and talk to people and try to kind of like distract myself from all the crap that's going on, and just turn a good or bad situation good just by having good people around me. And it's worked. But yeah,
it's a lot of like attitude, like to like how are you going into like every situation? Are you looking to find something negative, or are you looking to find a positive? That's why like everything you're saying about like, oh, like I trust that everyone's like a good person until they prove me otherwise. Like, is a great way to go into like and then it's a great way to go into any situation or relationship or like, you know, person, you know, friendship, because you start on a positive and you use actions to determine on where it's going to go, you know, like based on, but yeah, there's a lot of also like just the opposite of people doing the opposite of like assuming the worst. And then and I feel like that's depending on what life experiences you've gone to, like some people have been pushed to like now, like, oh, now I will only see the worst and everything. And I had a friend like that who was like the pessimist in my life. So every like good like thing, it was always like, here's the bad, like, you know, and then and I have always been the opposite. I've always been like oh, but this is like the good part of it, you know, for when we were friends, like I was always like, no, well, this is the good in it. And then like, it kind of helped because it kind of helped me create like a middle ground. I still take the same approach that like you do as far as like, oh, I assumed, you know, people are cool until they prove, you know, otherwise. Because again, and it's just come to be like, I don't know like any of these people until like I do get to know them. So why am I going to start with them like, less than what they actually like are. Like, let me actually talk to them and interact. I can tell,
like, I'm not going to say I will just go up to anybody, but I can also pick up your vibes.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm like seeing you from like far away, I can kind of guarantee I can tell what kind of person you may be conversation wise, like by body language. Like, I'm very big on like nonverbal cues. Like, shout out college degree in psychology and teach me all that shit. So didn't finish, but I got some knowledge in the noggin. Yeah, and like I'll definitely pick up nonverbal cues, like how people are sitting. I'm like, okay, probably maybe that's not, or like maybe this isn't the best time, because there's times where I've like maybe didn't talk to them this time. Like, this is probably not the best time to talk to them. I'll talk to them another time.
Yeah.
Like, there's also kind of like situational awareness when talking to people.
Yeah, which is super true, because I've had so many instances where I'm like, people come up to me and like talking, I'm like, damn, I didn't give them like the best experience. And it was just like, I'm just not, I wasn't
at
in the moment,
sorry.
You know, in it. And I'm like, you know, and it used to be like, oh, like, I need to figure out a way to make that up. And I'm like, no, like, that's just how
life.
people, you know, that's how it is.
It just happens.
You know, so like, that's why I try my hardest. It's not always easiest, but it's like, oh, when I have a bad interaction with someone, I try to put that, like, I need to put that into consideration. It's like, okay, like, what, like, were they just like this? They were super like thinking about something else. What were they doing? Were they working? Like, that's why that's with situational awareness. Like when people like are working, I always talk about this. Like when the first time I was going to actually go up to Bailey and talk to her at a show, like she was working and like editing, and I like was going up there and I'm like, you know what? She's working right now. And I'm like, I'm not going to distract. Like, let me, whatever. And then I found like a better opportunity, like at a different day, like to do it. But like, things like that. Like, and then again, if it's not the best interaction, it's cool. Like, I think like, even like we've had those with, like bands in general, like when like a band plays and then we like want to talk to them and stuff and they're like not in the best mood or whatever, or they
just
don't
go
want
off
to
the
talk
stage and they're sweaty.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And they're like super like tired, or you know, who knows what the hell's been happening on the road. You know, like tour life is not the most not the easiest thing. Yeah.
No.
So all those things are things like I've learned as I go, and it's cool because again, it brings it back to like if you are not in the scene or if you've not been a part of this, like it's hard for you to know that, like or hard for you to make that a consideration whenever you like see these people and go. But yeah, I think it's the right attitude to take, and it leads to, you know, meeting multiple friends. Like that's crazy. Like saying you keep talking about like you and Bailey have only like known each other about a year, and literally like I would have said that y'all have been friends for like your whole lives.
Nope.
Like
I've only known her since last May. But like that's kind of part of like not being scared to talk to people. Bailey, you know, I'm just gonna say, so sorry. This is just gonna be me talking about Bailey for the whole fucking podcast. But like nobody outside like my parents and my husband, and even sometimes him, like they don't fully get what all we like go through as like photographers and like music media people. And like I can say some pretty like what I think may be like an outlandish thought about whatever's going on with me in music media, and she gets it. And it's so validating. Or like run ideas and she gets it. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Or like, hey, no, like she's the one person I can send a photo to and be like, I want like constructive criticism on it. And I can guarantee you she will tell me something. If it's good, it's good. But if it's not, she will tell me, and she will tell me what to fix. Yeah. Like that's the kind of like circle I've started. And I have other people too that do the same thing, but she's the one who I can guarantee all the time will tell me how it is. And yeah, people need to know that that's super important to have. And if you ask somebody for like an opinion on something, like it's because you are ready for like an honest like criticism. And then you find the people that you know are going to tell you that and who you're comfortable with. Like there's people that will hate on something and it's fine. Like people, you know, if you don't know them or you don't care about them or they don't even care about your work, then who cares what they say? But if someone cares about like you and your work and they say like, you know, some criticism, it's because they want you to get better and they know that you can do better, you know? So it's always in that way. I think that was an issue. Like when I played in a band, we had that where we were all very defensive because it was 5 people that wrote like music. So it wasn't like one controlling, like, you know, it wasn't like 1 or 2 people writing the songs. Like everybody wanted to be part of the writing process. So we had initially like issues where like someone would write something and someone would be like, I kind of don't like that. Or like this could, you know, what if we change this? And it would automatically be like, instead of just let's make a better song, it felt like this was an attack on like that person. So everybody like kind of, so it took a while to learn to communicate that way. But eventually like we all figured out like, oh, like we all are in the same band. So if we criticize something, it's because at the end of the day, we want to make a good song. Like, you know, we want to make great music, and stuff can push you, you know, to be better, to try something different, to, you know, even if you don't like it at the end, like you still like are being able to get pushed by like other people and like your influences and your just people around you, your community. But yeah, you have those people you trust, but you need them. You need in order to get better. That's why I think even without having to send stuff and like, you know, having it criticized, just like having those people around you and seeing the work they're putting out and being like, oh shit, that's cool. Like I want to get better. Like to, you know, to be able to keep up with like these people, not in a competition way. I'm like, oh, I want to make just as much like cool things, you know? Yeah. Well, and no one's like, a lot of ideas are like recycled
Yeah.
like throughout other photographers, but nothing ever looks the same. We all have different editing styles. We all shoot with different gear, different angles. We have like different perspectives on everything. So it's like it's good too to have like people in music media and photographers and stuff that have those like outside like ideas. Okay, hey, what if you did this a little different?
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't have seen it that way because this is like I'm like locked in. This is how I edit. Like, and you know, burnout is so fucking real.
Yep.
Burnout's so real, especially like with what we do. We're like at a show every other freaking day, and it's like you kind of start to see like the same thing every day. So someone who doesn't edit how you do can have a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah, perspective is crazy especially in like creative endeavors because the less perspectives you have and you only think about your own, then you only think of this can be made this one way. And I remember discovering that while I stepped into like a writing session with somebody else, like somebody else was recording and writing a song like on the spot. And I'm like, DJ used to record out of the apartment, so where we used to live. And I remember like, she's like, oh, can I sit in? Like I sat in and I heard like the instrumentation was done and I was listening to it. And in my head, well, I've been a vocalist and I write. So I'm like, oh, this is like a melody I would go with. And I kind of wrote it all in my head.
Yeah.
And then I see what they put down and it was completely different.
Yeah.
And it sounded so good. And I'm like, that's so cool. I go, because my brain did not even think about going there. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's like one of my biggest like discoveries, like, oh, like I need more of that. Like I need to be like around more creative people that are going to show me how to do it a way that's not my own. Because my brain will like be like a shitbag and be like, your way is the only right way to like create something. And it's the only way it's going to be good. And then like that's obviously wrong. Because like I remember being pointed out, I think I wrote like 2 or 3 songs like all together once, and I brought it to my band and they were like, oh, you like, that's kind of like what you wrote in this song. And then like all 3 songs had this same structure. And I'm like, oh shit. Like here I am thinking like I can write songs pretty easy and I'm writing the same song like over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck. So then like having to go back and fix it and be like, oh, like noticing things that you do, and realizing, yeah, I'm not the only perspective out there. And it just helps push you. And I think in everything creative, music, like photography, like anything like has to do with creative, like art, just painting and stuff, it always does that. Like you see something different in everything. And that's what music,
it's so subjective.
It's so cool because once you release art into the world, like it gets interpreted. So you put it out one way and then everybody else gets to interpret it what makes them feel. And you get that all the time with music when like you come up, you've probably had moments where you would want to walk up to the band and be like, oh, this is what this made me feel. And the band's like, I didn't write it about that.
Yeah.
Or same with any piece of art, and it happens quite a bit. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like,
well, man, I watch music videos. I don't know if anybody else does it, or even if I've watched a music video, but like, so a song comes out, has a music video with it. I've seen it. But like when I listen to the song, I'll see like a different music video in like my head. I'm like, man, that's like crazy. Like I can see how you saw that, but this is how I saw that, like all the time. Like there could be so many variants of everything you see.
Yeah.
If you just asked different people.
Music videos, but like I feel like off maybe the past few years, like I haven't seen too many music videos. I just always listen to music.
Yeah.
And I like don't go back and listen to music. I think someone was bringing it up the other day. I can't remember. I think it's a guy on TikTok that makes like music, but they do all short form content.
Cool.
And he was having the argument of like, he's like, I don't think there's a need for music videos anymore. And I'm like, oh, like it kind of felt like, oh, I don't like that. Like, even, and I'm analyzing myself. I'm like, oh, I haven't really watched that many, but it would feel shitty. But I think he's talking about like from an artist starting like off where a music video is a big commitment, like monetarily to dedicate to where, I guess in short form, you could get more benefit. If you're looking at more like bang for your buck, I guess.
Yeah.
But creatively, like when I got the chance to like do a music video, it allowed me to, instead of the song's creative process ending there, it let me add like an additional thing to it. So like I always consider, like I wrote, the one we did it for was a song called Wasted Ages. And it was about like, my relationship with my dad. But writing it was like the cathartic experience. Recording it was being able to like put the emotion behind that, and it just felt, again, it added to the catharsis. And visually I got to like show what the song meant in like a different like light. But it was so cool. I'm like, this is just an additional step to the creative process. And you can do it with everything. Cause I'm like, when we released the EP, I wanted to release like art pieces with every song. And I'm like, that's another way, that's a completely different medium that again is still part of this musical creative process. It just seems to spread to other like art mediums.
I feel like music videos, and I hope that people still continue to make them, because that kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like I love music videos, but I watch them all the time because I eventually want to like film ones, like also like research purposes. But like that used to be all I did. Like YouTube, baby, we watching Vizio all day long. But like they tell a story, especially like when bands like release an album and then they almost like release a movie with it. Yes. You know, like Black Veil Brides, they literally did that with. Oh God, I'm a terrible person. They literally released a whole movie based on an album, and like it brought so much more depth to it. Like you learned like so much. It was like a movie and like documentary at the same time. It was freaking awesome, and it's like we need more of that.
You know who did that I really really like, and I was just like I still am, but big Childish Gambino fan, and they came out with an album called Because the Internet. And Because the Internet came out first, I think it had like a short film come out before the album came out. But then they released the album with a script. So you would read the script, and then I think it was online. So you could read the script online. Then it would have videos in the middle of it, which weren't music videos. They were just like added scenes to something, and it would be like play song here and then play the video. And then you would go through and play it. And it like added this whole like different level of depth to like what this, because the songs, sure, you listen to them and they come off as one thing, and then you read them along with this, and I'm like, oh, it's a whole different interpretation of what this.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the reason I don't think music videos and stuff like that will go away, because it's just this. It's this depth that you can add to your artwork, especially with music. So I think they're gonna keep going, and I think that's. If you look at it as more as like, oh, is this pushing your music? Yes, you will lean away towards music video. But if you look at like, how can we push the art? Like, it's just such a great tool to do it, like visually, and something that, again, you can add maybe something that you couldn't say exactly like in the song. Oh, you find a way to do it visually, you know, because it's it's a different medium to be able to do that.
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of bands like add like interludes that maybe necessarily wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Like in the album, they'll like add it
into the music videos. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that slaps. Let's go.
And then I'm always wondering like, why isn't that on?
Where's it at?
Because I love listening to albums like when they come out like all the way through, especially if they have like stuff like that, because it makes sense in my brain, which also kind of sucks because if I don't finish it, like I have to end up starting it over.
You start over, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, like when the next time I listen, I'm like, well, it feels like a movie because I'm like, I don't know where I left off. Like I'm gonna get lost.
Yeah.
So I have to listen to it all over again just for it to make sense.
Yes.
But I really do like doing it. So I hope they keep just finding new ways to like create artwork with music. It's just fun. But yeah, I'm super excited for everything that you're doing. I want to hear the secret project, but I'll wait.
You're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, but yeah, go buy this merch. Pre-order. It's up for pre-order.
Oh yeah, y'all get it.
We're gonna keep pushing that. Alex All Access on Instagram. Is that on everything?
Yep, Instagram, Facebook, and
that's what the podcast is gonna be called.
Yep, and Twitter. Just be forewarned, my Twitter, I'm just as unhinged as I am here. So
I think that's what people go to Twitter for. So
yeah, you're right.
You're on
right.
brand.
Yep, I'm ready.
Well, yeah, thank you for stopping by. This was awesome. You
Thanks
are completely always welcome back. And then hopefully when you get yours going, then I'll head over there and we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll talk some music. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Actually, you know what? Bailey's in the room. Thank you for Bailey for actually introducing us. So that's kind of cool. Creatives, yeah. we make it more friends. That's what it's all about.
All day, every
community.
Day,
but yeah, thank you for coming by. This has been episode 107 with Alex All Access. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Choose sounds and breakdowns. Better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.